Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something really fun. We're going to dissect a fascinating piece of world building. We're taking a single, incredibly dense paragraph of text that essentially acts as a master blueprint for a completely vivid extraterrestrial world. We're going to peel back the layers of this prompt, from the big picture aesthetics right down to the tiny micro interactions, to figure out exactly how digital creators conjure up this kind of immersive magic. Listen to this description for a second, because this acts as our meticulous blueprint. It starts by setting the medium, a 3D cartoon movie still, Disney Pixar style. Then it introduces who we're looking at, a curious young girl astronaut and this super cute glowing pastel green alien. It gives them an action to do, which is playing a hand clapping game. It maps out an environment just bursting with glowing flora and a massive ringed planet in the background. And finally, it locks in the technical polish, right down to the 8K resolution and subsurface scattering. It's barely a paragraph, yet it contains absolute multitudes. Every single adjective and noun in there has a highly specific job to do in constructing this reality. So that leads us to a pretty fundamental question, right? What makes this specific cosmic scene so captivating? We're going to deconstruct exactly how this setup creates such a massive sense of wonder, purely through deliberate descriptions. Because, it's not just a random salad of sci-fi buzzwords thrown together. No, it's a carefully crafted recipe designed to evoke empathy and awe. By the end of this explainer, you'll understand the underlying architecture here, and how layering style, character, action, setting, and technical specs works in perfect harmony to totally capture our imagination. Let's kick things off with a foundational layer, that classic Disney Pixar aesthetic. By aiming for this specific style, the blueprint intentionally builds a world filled with narrative warmth. We aren't in some gritty, dystopian cyberpunk landscape. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. We are in a space of pure optimism. This macro mood relies heavily on dramatic cinematic lighting in soft glowing starlight to nail that highly polished feeling. The text specifies a 3D cartoon movie still, basically freezing a perfect moment in time. But honestly, it's the lighting that sells it. It doesn't just illuminate the scene, it creates depth, guides our eyes, and just wraps the whole thing in this incredibly cozy, magical atmosphere. But hey, beautiful lighting means absolutely nothing without compelling characters to care about. The heart of this narrative relies on two very different entities, finding a cosmic connection right at the center of the action. We have this striking visual juxtaposition between the human astronaut in her bright orange spacesuit and the glowing pastel green alien. On one side, humanity, a young girl with curly brown hair wearing a bold, utilitarian orange suit, sitting cross-legged in a totally relaxed posture. On the other side, the completely alien, a creature glowing pastel green with multiple small hands. But here's the genius part. Despite being radically different species from completely different worlds, they are united by a shared trait. They both have large, curious eyes. That visual clash of bright orange and pastel green makes them pop, perfectly highlighting their differences while they engage in this beautiful shared connection. This micro-interaction unfolds step by step to create such a heartwarming narrative. It starts with the girl laughing and initiating a hand-clapping game. Then, the alien mimics her movements with its multiple small hands. And mimicry is a fundamental building block of learning and empathy. By freezing this exact moment of play, the blueprint injects pure joy and kinetic energy into what is otherwise a static concept. You can almost literally hear the clapping and the laughter, can't you? Every great interaction needs a stage, of course, and we are given a truly unforgettable one with this glowing exoplanet setting. Our characters are anchored on a world just bursting with sensory details. The ground isn't just plain old grass, it's vibrant, bioluminescent moss. Surrounding them are giant neon-glowing flora and jagged crystal clusters. And looming way up above in the deep purple sky is a massive ringed planet, which immediately gives us this unimaginably huge sense of scale. The universe is vast and strange, yet right here in the foreground, two small beings are just hanging out, playing a game. And think about how important the camera angle is here. It's a deliberate, mid-range, eye-level perspective. If this were a sweeping, high-angle drone shot, the characters would look tiny and insignificant against that giant planet. If it were an extreme close-up, we'd lose that gorgeous bioluminescent background completely. The mid-range eye-level shot is the Goldilocks zone. It places us right there on the neon moss. We aren't observing from afar, we are participants in their joy, looking them right in the eye. All right, finally, let's get a little technical and talk about the rendering specs. This is where the true craftsmanship comes in.
The explicit command for 8K resolution promises an incredibly crisp, hyper-detailed rendering. We are talking about an image width of nearly 8,000 pixels. At that scale, there is simply nowhere to hide. The texture of the orange spacesuit, the tiny spores on the neon flora, the reflections in the alien's large, curious eyes, all of it has to be rendered with absolute, unforgiving clarity. It gives the whole thing a breathtaking, window-like realism, even within a stylized cartoon aesthetic.
And then there's subsurface scattering. This is the real secret sauce. In the real world, when light hits skin, it penetrates the top layers, scatters around inside, and exits, which gives us that soft, fleshy glow. Without it, 3D characters look like hard plastic toys. This high-end technique makes both characters feel organic and wonderfully alive against the cool glow of the crystals.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. We've deconstructed the lighting, the framing, the characters, and the technology that builds this single moment. But beyond the 8K rendering and the glowing moss, the core of this text is really about bridging worlds. If a simple clapping game can bridge the gap between a human and an alien, what other connections await out there? It's a pretty amazing testament to how effectively a few carefully chosen words can craft not just an aesthetic, but a whole universe of possibility. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes open for the wonder in the details.